What's up everyone, it's Gabbie Trades and welcome back to the channel. Well, retail traders are fearful right now, but we're going to review exactly the reasons why, and we're also going to review the technicals from an unbiased perspective, and we're going to determine whether this might be actually a great opportunity. But you guys, before we jump in, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. If you're new here, welcome, and make sure you hit that small little bell on the side so you never miss my live breakdowns here with you. So first of all, let's see who's in the chat box. Okay, we have Avi Creations, Jeff. Hello, you guys, everyone. How is everyone doing? So as per usual, we're gonna start here with the news that are important for us to keep track on. So we have this Friday, 22nd of August, I believe, we have the Fed, Jeremy Powell, that is going to speak at the annual Jackson Hole conference this year. And now some strategies are warning us that if the Fed doesn't sound dovish enough, meaning supporting of easing monetary policy, that might mean that the markets could stumble a little bit. And in fact, we have few analysts that are predicting that the market could drop as much as 7 to 15% this fall. And why is that? Well, because we already know that the valuations are pretty much very high, and inflation hasn't really cooled as much as the Fed liked. If you remember last week, we had the CPI over here, which came quite nicely, right? CPI was very nice, but then we had the PPI report come in literally at 0.9%, which was kind of a surprise for us, right? We were not expecting that report. So that is why the analysts are thinking, hey, maybe there could be something brewing over here that we need to be aware of. Now, looking back at the Jackson Holes, over here, I've pulled this chart for you. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but over here you can clearly see that since 2009, this is based on the S&P 500, we have typically risen in the week. And we have here a midpoint at around the 0.8%, and that's in the week of the conference again. So only 5 weeks have we had a drop for more than 1%. And to be honest, this year the setup is looking a little bit more fragile as per the experts, and also in my opinion as well, because the stock prices, like we said, in the market is pretty much extremely extensive, and investors are very unsure about what the Fed next steps are going to be over here, right? So is his tone going to be dovish? His tone is going to matter more than usual, is what I'm trying to say here. So think about it, even if he puts out a very carefully worded speech, that might not really satisfy the hunger of like super strong reassurance, is what we're looking at right here. And of course, we also said, I'm not sure if we said here together, but again, if you can look at this chart over here, we have 83.1%. Now, last time I looked at this, it was 85%. So this is the chances of Fed Jeremy Powell cutting rates in September by 25 basis points. This is the chart that we're looking over here. CME Fed Watch tool is where you can find this information. The point is, though, this chart last week was sitting at 95% chance of him cutting rates. And then we have a little bit of turmoil happening with the economic data, and see what happens right now. We're dropping substantially right now, even below the 10% mark over here, and that's not even within few days of the data that we received last week. Anyway, it is still 83%, you guys. So what does that mean? Well, that means that usually this should cheer the investors. It should be a positive reinforcement that we're actually going to get cuts, but we need to really be careful to see if the Fed is going to deliver a cautious message, and if he's going to warn us of any inflation that is remaining sticky or whatever. And if we look at the news over here for this week, hold on, let's move on to this week over here. So we have flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI. Now, don't forget, right? Don't forget that the service economy in the US makes up for 70% of the entire economy. So the flash services PMI is going to be a little bit more important for us to look at over here, right? So if it's above 50, that is going to mean that the industry is expanding, and below 50 is going to mean that the industry is the services industry is contracting over here. And of course, then we have on Friday the most important speech over here that we need to be very, very careful of. And then unemployment claims. Now, the way I see it, this is that we're going to get contradictory data as usual. We always get that, right? But the most important thing is if there is any mismatch between what we as the investors are hoping and what Powell actually comes out there and says, that could lead to disappointment. And you know, a lot of the strategies are saying yes, 7.15, and some are actually saying that a 5% pullback would not be surprising at all if the expectations are in a way deflected, right? So again, could we really see a 15% drop? It's possible, but in my opinion, it's far from guaranteed, right? The likelier outcome, in my opinion, is that the markets are extra sensitive this week, swinging up and down based on Powell's exact words and tone, you guys. So that is what I want to be looking out for. And again, if he sounds relaxed about inflation, we can see a massive rally. Risk on might be back on, but if he sounds cautious, they could fall. And that is the key takeaway, right? That this might steer the market a little bit more than usual. In terms of geopolitics, you guys, I don't want to talk a little bit too much, actually. Let's talk a little bit about it. Anyway, we had Trump meet here with the European Union. We all know what's happening over here. We also saw Trump meet Putin in Alaska, which, by the way, was the first time Putin was in the US. We discussed that last week since the invasion. However, they did not conclude both of them together. They did not conclude on any decisions over here. However, the only thing that happened is that Trump really put a pause on the sanctions or tariffs against countries that are importing Russian oil, exactly, including China and India, for example. So that decision was actually quite good, because that means that the global, worry about supply in terms of energy is now less sort of worrying. So that, of course, helps to keep inflation pressures from worsening, because you guys know very well that the CPI report, and we've been discussing it together, the good results on the CPI report so far in the months have been supported by low energy numbers, right? So it's very important that we keep the energy here on, good prices. And like we said, as far as the EU meeting over here with the president, was it today or yesterday? Very recent. That's the most recent thing that happened over here. So we've been literally looking at the news today. They haven't really concluded anything. Again, they're just pushing for, what they want, ceasefire. They don't want things to go as per, Putin's, wishes. So I think the following meeting from here on that Trump is trying to organize between Zelensky and Putin is going to be a massive catalyst for us. So that is one thing that I'm going to be watching out for very, very carefully over here. All right, let's see who's here. We have Lucian. You guys, you're very welcome to join here. We have 76 people. I'm not sure how many likes we have, but I'm going to be checking in a little bit. But first, as usual, let's move on to the charts. Of course, what we're going to do here is we're going to start with Bitcoin. As per what we usually do. So over here, now using my indicators that are available for everyone to buy, the current target on Bitcoin stands up here at 116,941. So that's obviously the first thing that I look at the charts. I look on the 4-hour to see what's happening immediately right now. Yesterday, we pretty much had a red Monday in a way. And today we're dropping a little bit, but the most important thing that I'm looking at right now is the overall price action for Bitcoin, right? The overall price action for Bitcoin right now, it's returning to a zone of an interest to me. And by that, you guys very well should know by now, because you've been watching me for a while. And if you're new here, you're very much welcome. But a lot of you guys know that I trade what's called the range model theory. So what I'm looking out for is usually a buy pressure to occur at around the 0.236 area of my decided price leg over here. So as you can see, this is around 114,812 down here. So now that buy pressure is not very strong at the moment, and you know, you do have to understand that in a week such as this week, it is more likely than not that price is going to range a little bit, because investors and the price is really unsure of what is the safest way to go about this whole situation. So regardless, right, you're a trader, so you need to understand, if you are a trader and not only an investor, this is really the creme de la creme out of all of, you know, the institutions and everyone, because you really need to have, just like they say, the balls to enter this market, right? And if you are always feeling confident about your trades, that is absolutely impossible. You do have to feel a lot of pressure while you are trading, because if you don't feel that pressure, it's most likely you're going to be stopped out. In my opinion, I prefer to take the pain trades, right? So you have to look at this market and think, which one is the pain trade right now? Well, the pain trade is clearly going to be the long over here, right? Because a lot of people are now losing faith in the market. So in my opinion, I just look at Bitcoin, look at Ethereum and the entire market as a whole to determine whether everything is sitting at zones right now. And to be fair, for me, everything is sitting at zones. So I'm feeling quite all right for now. So Bitcoin over here, the big short over here was confirmed over here. Was it on Thursday morning? I think yes, which unfortunately I closed because it was too early and I was sleeping. However, Ethereum, right? When we look at Ethereum, I'm still short Ethereum exactly from the resistance that we spoke together over here, right? If you guys remember, we drew this resistance over here for Ethereum at exactly at $4,800, and we said if price is going to dip, it is going to be from precisely this area over here, which is an area that the only way you can find is by using my indicators, because you would not be able to determine these levels in any other way, right? Yes, you can see that price has been rejecting for that level a few times. Maybe you can call it support or resistance, but over here you have a clear formation that you're only going to get with the help of my indicators. And you guys, again, if you're wondering how you can find these indicators, the thing that you should do is you just scroll down this video and you can find all of the information that you need for over here. Gabbie's trading indicators are over here available in these links. And also, most importantly, follow my personal YouTube channel over here, because that's when I go live a little bit more often than I go live on Coin Bureau's channel during the week. So in order for you to stay up to date with everything, make sure to follow that channel. And yeah, check the links below, because that's where you can get also on the trading course waitlist that I'm organizing for you, which you're gonna get massive discounts that no one else is going to get, you guys. And of course, all the deals that Coin Bureau and me have managed to organize for you. If you're looking to trade crypto somewhere, this is your chance to get massive bonuses, because you probably won't get them anywhere else. So that's what I advise over here for you guys, to look under the description box and make sure to check all of these boxes. Now, coming back to ETH, I didn't mean to draw. Yes, you guys, make sure to hit that like button on this video. That is absolutely mandatory. All right, cool. Where is my, yes, here's Ethereum right now. Okay, so we have the Tremont open down here at around 42,048, or yeah, just below 42.58. The thing is, right, the thing is over here that for me, Ethereum needs to absolutely hold this area, and I'm going to explain to you why right now. So Ethereum, for me, it is absolutely mandatory to hold this area exactly where we're rejecting right now. And I've been saying that to my community as well, and I'm saying it to you guys. If we start seeing any daily closes below this area, that is going to be a massive red flag. It is probably going to signal to us that even if market pulls back after we have a body close over here, even if market pulls back, it is probably going to be with the intention to make another low. right? But that's not exactly what we're hoping right now, right? We want to be still bullish, and we want to continue this out season the way we just started it. It is so nice. So if we're about to continue this, Ethereum really needs to reject this area right now and start trading to the upside, because otherwise it's going to be not so pretty over here. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, upside momentum, to be honest with you, on a daily time frame, we've already confirmed a longer term bearish trend over here. So for Bitcoin, I'm not really hoping to see much out of it, right? At least for now, at least until October. I think whatever happens with Bitcoin, it is going to be very beautiful October onwards, right? I'm not sure about how September and the rest of this month are going to play for Bitcoin, but what I can tell you is that I'm not seeing us exiting this range at any point soon within this 1.5 months in regards to Bitcoin specifically, right? In regards to Bitcoin. So anyway, going back to Ethereum over here, right? Going back to Ethereum. This is the most important thing you need to understand. Watch the daily closes, right? And if we have a daily close over here, I'm currently short Ethereum from the top over here, and I'm long from exactly this resistance slash support over here. So I'm looking for this SR area to hold. So then I can, you know, potentially capitalize on further upside if that is the case, right? And if that's not the case, I'm happily short from the top over here. So essentially, I'm pretty much in a very nice hedged position right now. So I'm making money both ways, right? So like I said, the invalidation for this long setup over here that I'm in is going to be a daily close just about here, right? Just about here, below this area, more specifically below 4,222K on ETH. If we get that daily close, I'll be like, all right, even if we get upside, I need to keep my short, because this might not see the light of the day for a little while. But let me guys know in the comments, what are you looking out at the moment? Are you long? Are you short? It's really important for me to hear what everyone is doing. And in fact, let me see backstage if we can organize a poll over here if people are feeling bearish or bullish for this week, because it's really important, you guys, to understand what the current sentiment is, not only for me, but in general, the retail traders, right? We need to understand, okay, everyone is long. I like that, to be honest. Okay, cool. Now, someone requested Sol, and of course we were about to look at Sol. This is absolutely mandatory. Now, Sol is a little bit of a different situation. Sol is a little bit more protected than Ethereum, to put it that way. So Sol is going to confirm very bearish situations only if we get some sort of closes below here 173. If we get a body close on a daily below 173, I'll be like, okay, even if we get a pullback, this is probably going to continue down. But if that doesn't happen, and by the way, right now Sol is in a buy zone, which is exactly this little breaker block over here. So Sol essentially is also at a buy zone at the moment. And if we look on the 4-hour time frame, to be fair with you, if we pull out the standard deviation, let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can do that over here. You can see very clearly that within this drop over here, we have nicely reached the 0.2 area, right? 0.2 area from the standard deviation. You guys, let us see what you guys feel about this you know, this sentiment today. Let me know in the chat box over here. We have a poll for you. Thank you, backstage. So basically, the fact that Solana has extended below the -2 of the standard deviation over here from this bearish leg, to me, this is telling me that Solana is also at a buy zone at the moment. Because usually when I'm short, right, and I extend my standard deviation, I'd like to take profits at around the -2, -2.5. Again, all of these things I teach in my mentorship, you guys. So make sure to get under the description box of this video and register for the course waitlist, because you're gonna get discounts that no one else is getting. And of course, make sure to subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Solana is definitely, to me, at a very interesting levels. This is why, I'm feeling quite good for everything. However, right, we always need to be aware of scenario number 2 that could potentially develop over here, right? So if that happens, right, if we really get a lot of volatility and we start dropping down over here like crazy, I'll be looking for Solana over here at the buy zone, which starts at 171 over here. Right, and I think that this is going to be a very, very good opportunity. If Solana drops to the 170 zone area, I think it's going to be potentially the second best opportunity that we might get. But again, let's not go further into future and try to predict what's the worst thing that could happen. We're not going to do that, because the worst thing could signal even further downside. But let's say for the very minimum over here, we have support in 173 and we have a buy zone at 171, supported with fair value gaps over here. If you pull out my indicators again, you can see you have a daily bullish fair value gap within a buy zone over here, which automatically makes it a nice attractive zone for price to pull back into. So in case we start to see a little bit more volatility over here, this is what I'm going to be favoring. Does that make sense, you guys? Let me know in the comments. I want whatever I say to you, I want you guys to understand as much as you can. Let me see if I can answer this poll over here. I can't really answer the poll. That's kind of annoying. Okay, that's fine. So you guys start chatting in the box, because I can't really see all of your answers. For some reason, this poll is like hiding all of your answers over here. But we'll check that in a bit. Anyway, so this is what I wanted to tell you, right? So far, my bias is bullish, just because the sentiment has been super bearish. But again, we have to thread very, very carefully, and of course invalidation for that is going to be body closes, specifically on Ethereum, because Bitcoin has already confirmed body closes in the daily, below the daily time frame, which is not good. Lucian thinks that it's going to be a chop. Actually, this is a very, very possible scenario, right? Very, very possible scenario, and I've discussed that on my own personal channel as well. Because look at this, right? Essentially, you start the month and you pretty much reverse price. So after a reversal like that, you usually need to have some sort of a range formation over here. And once you get that range formation, what happens is usually you get a manipulative move, right? So all we can hope for is from that range, we're going to get a manipulation move to the downside, from which we can hope to take further buys from, right? But if that range starts forming, which it hasn't really, formed as of yet, but if that range starts becoming a little bit more apparent over here, we can then say, okay, this is a clear range formation. So anything that exits above or below, we can clearly consider that as a manipulation move, and just continue trading the opposite side of that manipulation, right? That is something that I would do. So over here with the opening of the US session, we can see that the market is selling off after, pretty substantial doji candle over here. However, again, the signals indicators are telling us that price should continue up. So this as well might be just a partial momentum of this range that is forming over here for you guys. Okay. APT, actually, that's a very good point. Let's have a look at APT. Aptos over here. I think we've discussed Aptos several times, but yet again, let's do it one more time. So pretty much Aptos dropping right now again is going to be, as you can see, I have an alarm over here set for exactly $4.324 for APT, you guys. So this is pretty much the area that I'm looking out for any nice reversals over here. Right, it's going to be quite nice if that happens here on the 12-hour. Let's have a look on the 4-hour time frame and what the target is giving. So currently, unfortunately, the target over here is a little bit lower on APT. So what we can hope for is, as soon as price reaches our areas of support slash resistance, what used to be resistance, once support, now is we're hoping for it to hold, and we're hoping for price to start ranging and start creating new fractal candles. So then our targets pretty much change, because we do not want for price to drop that much. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's another 3 to 4%. To be honest, it's quite possible, to be fair, with the volatility that we might be facing this week. It is not out of the pictures at all here for APT. But again, it's going to be within a massive buy zone. So if we get any drops in that area, to me, that's going to be a signal, right? 68% long. Okay, that's quite an interesting result over here. Quite an interesting result. ADA. Okay, so ADA, pretty much same thing over here, 4-hour time frame. So over here, still within the range. Nothing pretty much happened since Monday, right? Price is staying in the same spot. And especially this is a little bit of a bigger range over here. So when you're in a bull market like that, right? When your asset is trading so bullishly over here, the best thing you can do is you can position yourself at the lower of the range, right? You can position yourself at the lower of the range for an extension back to the upside, right? When you trade that. So the problem with ADA is, and we discussed it with you guys before, that it was trading in a sell zone over here, right? So it was trading in a sell zone from which we got rejection once, very clear rejection over here, right? From our sell zone. We reached it second times, we made a higher high, but now again we're rejecting. But it's not a massive rejection. Do you see what I mean? Look at price is ranging quite substantially over here. So that's important to note. That's important to note. And it's also important to note that we are within a buy zone over here. So even if we get a drop to clear a little bit of lows, stacked lows over here, it is absolutely possible. You could very well consider this as, you know, as a drop that is just trying to clean everyone that was long very, very late, right? Because this is what it happens in a bull market, right? You're going to get extensions, and then eventually price is going to wipe the late longs. ZN understands exactly what I'm saying. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. You guys, we have 111 people here, and I don't know how many likes we have, but it's probably not good enough. So make sure to smash that like button. I'm not going to check. Last time I left it on 34 likes. I hope it's way more now. And you guys, make sure to come in the description box and follow my main channel and get the trading indicators for yourself. You guys, I'm honestly recommending them a lot to you because I use them on a daily basis, and there is also a video on my YouTube channel on how you can make use of these indicators. Over here, let's have a look at ETH BTC. ETH BTC over here. So the idea with ETH BTC, right? ETH BTC, and we discussed that. Let me delete that. I'm going to come back to this arrow in just a few moments from here. ETH BTC daily time frame. So basically with ETH BTC, we discussed that ETH BTC needs to come up to these levels to wipe these liquidities over here, right? So I'm talking about specifically this one and this one. So these are the current targets, right? So you can get these liquidation levels only with the help of my indicators. Very clear on the charts. We have 49 likes. Again, absolutely unacceptable. So you guys, look at that. We have this liquidity here on ETH BTC. So good days are going to come ahead of us, right? And looking at the current chart, right, and currently you're looking at ETH BTC, you can clearly see that the buy zone hasn't really been tapped, right? So we might see a little bit of a play about down here until we tap into that buy zone and then come ahead up to clear our liquidity. And in case things get really, really bad, we might even drop to our major support, which is down here. So this is the most important level that I need you guys to look at, right? If things go really, really bad, come back to ETH BTC, make a screenshot over here if you want, and watch what price is doing when it reaches level 0.03188 if it happens, right? Because I'm not counting on that. What I'm counting on is that price is going to come back within the buy zone over here, which is not too far from where price is, and it's going to reject and continue on its glory way to the upside. Yes, so I do understand what's happening over here. I know that I explained a lot of things and people are paying very close attention to everything that I say. So I'm happy you guys are following along and are being very careful. In terms of ETH BTC over here, so the thing about in Bitcoin dominance, this is Bitcoin dominance that we're looking at right now. Last time we were looking at this, we said that there is this bear flag or whatever formation channel. I don't know what that is. Retailers use that. We saw the drop to the downside, so that was very nice. So from here you can see that price is ranging, and the first thing I see is that price might actually extend up to 60.4% here on Bitcoin and then reject once again, right? We don't even need to hope for such of a deep retracement over here. It's quite possible we might even come to the first resistance level over here at 60.04, and then if we manage to break that, potentially this is going to be the level over here, 60.4.45 whatever for Bitcoin dominance. So this is what I'm looking out for. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope all of these things make a lot of sense. I want to repeat this for you here. I do not like the look of Ethereum right now, but again, it has been playing with that area for a couple of days now, so it's very, very possible that it will continue playing with that area and that price is going to massively reject from where it is right now. Correct? But again, it is very important that we pay very close attention, and there is, quite possible that price is going to stay within that range. And if you observe Ethereum over here very carefully, you can see that we had a sell zone over here that price has been traded through, right? So with this leg over here, essentially you trade straight through the sell zone, so that now will indicate that this is not anymore a sell zone and this is actually a buy zone, right? Why is it a buy zone? Because it is now a breaker block. Okay, it is now a breaker block. You can even potentially change the color, I guess. I don't know, can we do that? That's not the color I usually use, but whatever, let's just use that color for now. So that is now going to be a buy zone breaker block over here. So in case of a massive dip, you guys need to understand that this area might be wicked, and we might be facing it right now as we're together on stream. So over here, it's very important for this area to be wicked, and even if we get down to the buy breaker block over here, we just want to wick that area, and it's imperative for price to come back up and close with a body above $4,218 on Ethereum. So this is the most important thing and my most important message for you guys today. I hope you understand everything that I'm saying, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, don't forget to come down in the description box, press the like button for this video, and also follow my main YouTube channel. Check for all the amazing deals that Coin Bureau has here for us. If you trade crypto, make sure to do that, because you can get sign-up bonuses that you probably won't get anywhere else. So this is my recommendation for you, and as usual, you guys, I shall see you in the next video, which is going to be on Thursday. Be safe until then.